Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the OPC 1% Club. We have Jake here returning to our show. Great to have you. And then we also have our lovely guest today, Krysta.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You guys have good coffee, so I'm always going to come back.
So just for the viewers, I guess, would you be able to sort of like introduce yourself like briefly?
Sure. My name is Krysta Greenberg, and I am VP Marketing, Sales, and Customer Care at Almadev. Almadev is a asset management, investment, and development company. And in my role, I'm primarily responsible for overseeing sales and marketing of our residential communities, as well as after sales. And that's the customer care piece. So it's a pretty unique role in that it truly is from A to Z. I meet buyers and realtors like you from day one when they purchase from us. I'm sort of with them on their purchase journey as they make color selections and finish selections in their suites, and then ultimately help them through the move-in process once they take occupancy and start to work through the carry-on process as well.
So you're helping buyers from the beginning whenever like somebody's coming in or a realtor brings their clients in all the way to the end.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes, when they become a homeowner. And then ideally, and this happens with us a lot, we're in a pretty fortunate position where they come back and they purchase again one day. So it's that full cycle on one project and then maybe on to one of our next communities.
Right. Would you be able to maybe talk more about like some past projects that Almadev have done? I'm sure some of the viewers like are realtors as well, so they know Almadev, but then the public might not know us.
Sure. I think we are most well known for being a master plan community developer, and probably most well known for a community called Emerald City in Parkway Forest, right across from Fairview Mall. That was our first.
Towers.
Yeah, 9 towers. Over 3,000 units, commercial elements, and a brand new community center in that community. It was a 32-acre underutilized site. It also included some apartment buildings that we retained for a while. And I would say, I meet so many people who say, I remember selling for you in 2008 when that project first launched. And just because it was so long-term, we closed our last unit in 2022. So that's a really long time to have roots in that neighborhood. People just remember back to the early days and that's how they really got to know us. So I would say that's really where we started. And then since then, we've gone on to acquire some really great and large scale development sites as well, like Galleria on the Park at Dufferin and DuPont. Jake knows that one pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a 20-acre site, another 3,000 units, a brand new 90,000 square foot community center, 8-acre park. We have another new development at Victoria Park and Shepherd. So that kind of is a nod back to Emerald City, where we just love the Shepherd Avenue corridor and thought, like I said, we put down roots there for a long time, didn't want to leave it. So when we acquired the site that's now known as LSQ, that was really a continuation of that sort of North York story for ourselves. And we also have another development site in Vaughan at Jane and Rutherford, which will soon be home to over 2,000 residential units and other recreational and commercial uses as well.
Wow. When is that coming out?
That one, we're still in early planning stages with that site. And probably, we hope within the next couple of years, 2025, 2026.
With Victoria Park and Shepherd, there's a bit of a debate. Is it really North York or is it Scarborough?
We're on the west side of Vic Park, so we're North York. Yeah, we're true North York.
So why is Almadev so into master plan communities?
Sorry to cut you off. What is master plan community for those who don't know?
What does it really mean? And it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, I think, and lots of developers are becoming more involved in large scale acquisitions, meaning there's just more elements included there. For us, I think it's something that, our first acquisition was large enough to be a master plan. And we just love the clean slate opportunity that it provides for us. We get to go in, we get to look at an area and say, okay, this is what's really working. This is what's not really working. We want to We want to either amplify what is really working. In the case of Galleria Mall, it's a great example. It was all retail, but yet it was retail at what, maybe it wasn't serving the needs of the community as well as it could. Had a lot of parking lot space, was pretty underutilized. And we thought, well, we don't want that retail to go away. We want to improve it. We want to increase the amount of retail. We want to bring in tenants that really serve the needs of the community. And we want to add in other uses as well so that we can be truly mixed use. And I think through our experience at Emerald City, it worked out really well that we enjoyed what we were doing. We saw the benefits that it afforded us as a company, but also that it afforded our customers, and left a real lasting impression on North York. And so it's something that we just have eyes on ever since.
Would that be the 15-minute city?
In a way, yeah.
So in the position that you're in, like since you started, how would you describe like the progression of Almadev, like as a builder, like the quality and the finishes? Has it gotten much better? I would hope.
I think so. I think so. I think for us, it's just scale. We are scaling up and we're still growing to this day. We, in 2008, when launching Emerald City, for many years, that was the one community that they were focused on. And since then, we're growing exponentially. And we have a lot of development sites coming across our desk that we're considering. Galleria was a great acquisition. Rutherford was a great acquisition. LSQ was a great acquisition. All of these happened within very short time frame. So I think for us, we're very interested in scaling up. And that's really the difference that I see in the company. But very precise and very focused on, we're learning what we do best, and that is master plan building. And so that's our focus.
What are you excited about for the current projects? Like, is there one in particular that you really like?
What's your favorite?
Galleria,
Which one has the special place in your
Galleria has a special place in my heart because that's where I raised my hand. I did end up moving out of the neighborhood, but I still know it just as well. And we lived there for 8 years. My kids went to school right around the corner from Galleria. I used the Wallace Emerson Community Center, the one that will be replaced and doubled in size. So, even the fact that my kid, I feel like my kids, that's how they came to know about condo development, because it was Mama's project. That's what I worked on. And they knew all of the elements and, would draw it. And we would think about like, what will the community center end up being like here? And for me, just because it was so related to and connected to my family, that has a special place in my heart. And it's coming full circle now. We launched our first 2 towers at Galleria on the Park in 2019, and we're preparing to occupy those 2 towers this year. So to see it kind of, really come to be, even just driving down, when you drive west on DuPont and you see into that new corner, that transformed corner, and even Galleria 3 is under construction. I think we're on the 3rd, 4th floor by now. And that's the Flatiron shaped building, if you know that one. It's truly the marker of, we always refer to it as being the gateway of the community. And so now to see it driving westbound on DuPont, and seeing it really come to life, it's like, it gets me every time.
Did you buy a unit?
I did.
Which phase? Or all 3? Did you buy 3 units?
I'm one of the early occupants, so I bought in the first phase.
Nice.
In the first phase, yes, I will be taking occupancy this June, July. Yeah.
What would you say are the advantages of getting in first phase versus when the project is maybe a little bit more completed?
We all love buying early and can make that recommendation. There are benefits to buying early. I think one of the things that we learned at Emerald City that we continue to employ as this approach is we actually build infrastructure early on in the earlier phases of the community, because we feel like a master plan, it kind of presents the one opportunity where the buyer and the developer are aligned the whole step of the way. So it is not just you, or it's just not just the purchaser who is buying early and and sort of waiting for that price appreciation to take place or waiting for the value of their property to enhance. We are too. So for example, at Galleria, the community center is already under construction. The first phase of the park is already under construction. So that early buyer actually will get to benefit from those things earlier on, rather than having to wait until the very end of that community being built to get to access them. So I would say when you're buying from us early, it means that you will have access to more of those mixed use amenities that we are including in our communities. Plus, then you get to benefit from the price appreciation that comes from that infrastructure being put into place early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think like let's be realistic. People buying condos are primarily investors, or at least early on in the projects are primarily investors. So they want to see where they get the most price appreciation. And I think historically, I don't have the exact stats, but I believe that master plan communities have seen around 15% more appreciation than individual
we love
buildings.
that. Yeah.
But I like to think of it a different way, because I don't think an area appreciates kind of together. I think what it is that when you buy early in a master plan, you're almost getting a discount. So that your end price, you have a bigger net gain, right? Because obviously there's some downsides. Like, let's be realistic to being the first building in a master plan community. You're living in construction and all that stuff a little more.
You are.
Like, we have to be honest about these things.
Absolutely.
But as an investor, that downside is where you're getting your discount. You're paying less money because of those little bits of downsides, but you're seeing overall in the community more appreciation at the end of the day.
No, it's a great point.
I think, as you say, historically, they've had around 15% more. Like, why would you buy anywhere else when you know that there's that opportunity in a master plan?
Right.
And now you're seeing it, like the people who were in Galleria 1 and 2 and stuff, like they've done very well.
Yeah.
They've done very well.
Yeah.
Especially by June, July, and I think prices are going to be up a lot by then. It's going to be good for you. Are you planning to keep it?
I am.
There you go.
Yes. At least one of my kids will move in there. It's a 2-bedroom. Maybe they'll share. Maybe each one will take a bedroom, or maybe I just need another one.
Everyone in this industry is so nice to their kids. My parents never bought me anything. When I bought my own condo, they gave me a $500 IKEA gift card.
Right.
Like,
Good job. Good job. No, I have to keep it. For so many reasons, but especially I wanted a piece of that neighborhood.
I'm a big believer in never selling any real estate.
You can keep it, never sell it.
I remember his dad told me a story. He bought an investment property in like 1982 or something like that. Whole house downtown Toronto. I think he paid like $80,000 for it.
So lucky.
He flipped it in 90 and he made like $50,000 profit. And he was so excited about it. It sold for like $160,000. It was in the annex. Like, what?
Wow.
What if he had not sold it?
Yeah.
Right? Houses in the annex now, $2-3 million. So when you invest in real estate like that in a master plan that still has so much more to give, you should be holding that 10 years at least. Not to mention the tax benefits, right? So you avoid capital gains, you avoid HST.
There are so many reasons to keep if you can.
And it's not rent controlled either.
No.
And you can just use the equity by refinancing, right?
Exactly. Refinancing is a tax deferral where you can discount the interest. You sell it for a profit and you're giving 25% to be thrown in a hole with the rest of the government money.
Right.
So, like, why ever sell?
Right.
If you structure, and we can tell you guys if you ever need help with how that works, message us, but never sell property. I don't sell any properties ever.
If you
hoarding more of them.
Monopoly.
Yeah.
Just basically Monopoly.
You don't win Monopoly by selling.
Collect rent.
Yeah.
This is true.
So, you guys have other stuff at Galleria still right now, right?
We do. Want to talk about it?
Yeah. What do you have available?
We have, in the first phase, the Galleria 1, Galleria 2, we have less than 20 units left there. The project sold really well. And really that was because we decided in 2019, I don't know if you remember, you were there, you were at the launch, and it was very well attended and it went very well. And we decided that we had to hold on to some units. And so throughout last year, we actually had an extremely busy end of year, in 2023, lucky enough to say, where I think because there was a shift suddenly in, people could see that the building was close to completion. We were starting to cater to more of a resale buyer, and selling to real either end users, or investors who thought, like, I know that there's limited supply in this neighborhood. I want to buy now, and I'm ready to rent out the units because the rents are great there. I think that the DuPont corridor. Also, I remember when we launched, we talked about this a lot. There's so much coming along DuPont. And finally now those things they're true. Like there are a lot of projects that are under construction where just the whole West End is changing. You've got a developer like Tridel has 2 sites and completed one building just east of us. It has another one under construction at DuPont in Ossington. You have Lifetime. There are other great smart developers all around
that
us.
location, the whole Ossington DuPont corridor, it's kind of like King West like 20 years ago.
For sure.
In a way,
For sure.
right? King West 20 years ago was just warehouses and nightclubs and like I think the stat was like that whole area had less than 1,000 permanent residents, and now it's 50,000.
Really? Wow.
And that's kind of what's going on in Ossington and DuPont. The younger generation of kids all started hanging out there, like the kids in their 20s. They started renting there, and there was nice restaurants popping up, bars and nightclubs.
And they are. Geary Avenue is super hip and often touted as, the new Ossington because it is a lot of warehouses, it's coffee shops, it's great restaurants. Butcher shops are opening up. There's lots of great parkettes, and you can see that park culture. People are just going to hang out. So now that some of those buildings are completed along DuPont, and you can see it just even in resale, the transactions that are taking place, I just feel like the people we sold to towards the end of the year and early this year are going, no, I want to live here too. Like I can see that it's coming. So a few units left in the first phase of Galleria, and then we have Galleria 3, where I'll be putting out some new units to market in about a month or 2.
And when is 3 occupying?
2026.
So still two and a half years of upside there.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for the stuff that's available in 1 and 2, how does the pricing compare to resale right now?
The pricing is very similar too. And it's an interesting question because I think it's not common in the city. The resale landscape has changed so much as a result of these newer buildings completing that I just mentioned, where they have held their value so much. They're trading for anywhere between $1,100 and for some really small units, over $1,500 a foot. This is even on DuPont West. And at Galleria, we're right now selling for anywhere between $1,000 and $1,100 a foot.
Got it. Yeah, and the resale market, like I know people read headlines and they see one thing or another thing, but we've definitely noticed at Meta that the resale market has picked up quite a bit.
Yeah.
It was actually, I was a little nervous because in December resale seemed slow. But in January, it's been absolutely booming. There was a Bloomberg article that came out that said sales were up 37% over last January in resale transaction velocity. And there was a news article we all saw, sorry, not news article, but post about the house in Mississauga that got 75 offers. We had a couple listings in the brokers that all got 20 plus offers the other week.
No way, really?
A couple buyer side deals where there was multi-offer situations going on. So, Krysta.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds, I don't want to harp on it, but it sounds to me like there's really good opportunity for resale people to avoid bidding wars right now. And if they like that neighborhood, which again, I think is like the King West of the 1990s, then they can walk right in and just buy with no headaches.
Yes.
No,
I think you're right. And benefit from something like Cherry on warranty, right? And live in a brand new home. Never lived in, it's exclusively theirs. And I agree. I think it's the new hotspot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In downtown West.
Yeah, I mean, because we see it every day now. These bidding wars are back, and it's a mental burden on buyers. They're stressed out. They don't know what to do. Should they just bid more and then they feel like they've overbid, or they don't bid enough and they miss out on their dream home? It's not a fun experience for anyone. So if you can get equivalently priced product that's literally still got the plastic wrap on it, as I say, then why wouldn't you?
Sure. I think it just comes down to, this with the way the market changed towards the end, well, really for all of 2023 and towards the end of the year, I think that it presents an opportunity for people to make smart choices, to not have to automatically default back to things like bidding wars and feeling emotionally burned out by searching for where they want to live or where they want to invest. If you can be focused, and if you as realtors can sort of guide people to projects or properties that make the most amount of sense, I definitely think that they can be found.
Got it. And I guess the only difference would be obviously that if you're buying resale, you can tour the units and stuff. But you guys are getting close. You must be able to start doing tours.
We have a model suite actually in the building. Yes, our first one, and actually have another two that we're currently at the process of staging.
So as of today, buyers could actually see a physical.
Yes, you can. In the building on the 3rd floor, with a couple on the 4th and 5th floor to come, and varying product type as well. So I have a 1+den, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom available to see. And even if it isn't staged, then we could take you through on a construction tour to see something that is finished product.
Realistically, they're getting the full resale experience.
Yes.
Touch and feel.
Yes.
Without the headache.
Yes, exactly.
With a new car smell.
With a new car smell. With a new condo smell.
Yeah.
So back to the investor market.
Sure. Yes.
We all want the next big thing. Everyone's always looking for the next Apple, the next Microsoft, whatever. Where do you think the next major node in Toronto or the GTA is? Like, where is the next big spot that investors should be looking at that has that huge, you're looking at it now going, are you sure? But then in 20 years, you're going to be like, you were right. Where do you think that is?
Well, am I not allowed to say LSQ at Vic Park and Shepherd?
You can say whatever you want. You're the guest of honor on the Valentine's Day podcast.
I mean, okay, is it a biased view? It is an Almadev project, yes, but unique, important, and special because it is a 416 address. It is North York. It is priced, I would say, more in line with maybe suburban pricing that we've seen of late, where you have more access to the GTA. Like, you could live in a suburban market. You could choose to invest in and rent to tenants in Hamilton, in Pickering, in Oshawa, in Whitby. You could. Those are all available. Or you could live in the 416 and be closer to things like transit. We're about 2 kilometers away from the John Mills subway station, and we are anticipating the Shepherd LRT extension, which will bring that LRT right outside of LSQ's doorstep. You have access to malls, all of the major malls. You can get to any of them within 10 minutes because of your proximity to the highway. So we're bound by 401 to the south of us and 404 just to the west of us. So it's truly accessible community and development. And I think that there's going to be a lot of intensification along the Shepherd corridor moving east of Fairview Mall.
So when are the first 2 towers closing?
2028.
When, like June, July, something like that?
First one, January. Second one, June.
Okay. So potentially about 4.5 years still there in upside?
Yes.
Got it. And how many towers total? In the
Six residential towers. It's just over 1,600 units.
Got it. So what's the timeline? Like, obviously it's subject to construction and market and everything else, but like in your targeted plan, when are you planning to be like completely done on the site? No more construction, nothing?
Well, we will launch our 3rd tower for sale in 2025. Like, there is a cadence to the sales cycle and the development cycle in the community. Our last building will be completed, fully closed. We're targeting 2031.
2031. So if we go, like, I'm just trying to think here, like, why would investors want certain areas, right? Or why they want certain projects. So, the first buildings are 2028, but going back to what we said at the beginning about master plans and getting more potential upside up to maybe 15% more appreciation, if we look at the community as a whole, could you make the argument then that if you're investing in the first 2 towers of this project, you're really seeing upside potential all the way into 2031 of that master plan? You're getting the master plan juice to 2031.
Juice to 2031.
And you could say then that that's the longest closing building. If you want to sort of manipulate the word closing a bit, that's the longest opportunity for upside in a construction project then of any buildings in Toronto.
I like it.
Otherwise, I mean, you have Q Tower downtown, but that's one building 2030.
Right.
You guys are now, you're saying in a way, extending that upside into 2031.
Mm-hmm.
By which point, maybe they figured out building that LRT or whatever they're
maybe by then, maybe, or not so far behind.
Got it. So people are investing today.
Yes.
They're paying prices that, you know, in a different market scenario would have probably been $200 to $300 a foot higher. They don't have to think about anything related to financing for 4 to 5 years. And I think overall the market sentiment is that the interest rates will be significantly lower by then. And then even when they close and they're not subject to rent control and they have this beautiful new unit that's still going to be under Terrion going to 2035, they will have that master plan juice all the way to middle or end of 2031.
Yes.
Which is, if I can do math, around 9, no, that's not 9 years. That's 7 to 8 years of upside.
Yes.
I mean, even if new government comes in and slows down immigration a bit, we'd be looking at, just in Ontario, probably 1.5 million to 2 million more people. So it seems like it's a home run to me. How many units did you buy?
One everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just an interesting question. What's your favorite building in the city of Toronto?
My favorite commercial building in Toronto is actually the TD Towers downtown. They're my forever favorite. My favorite residential building is a building that I lived in my 20s at Queen and Dover Court. It's called Argyle Lofts. It's a small mid-rise loft conversion. It was a former bread factory in Toronto.
That's cool.
183 Dover Court is the address, and that one has a special place in my heart. It is beautiful and sort of an iconic, I think, iconic downtown neighborhood building.
It's funny.
Has to be that.
Funny you say the TD Towers, because my favorite building, it's the brand new TD Tower, the 157 front building, Cadillac Fairviews, that kind of goes like this.
Yeah.
It's a really cool
Gorgeous.
building.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I like simple. I like the original TD Towers because
beautiful.
they're just so simple, so classic. They could have been designed at any time.
Yeah.
Timeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks
for having me on again.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know why you brought me back.
You're going to be our new co-host.
Are we doing like a Joe Rogan show thing? We can start...